Welcome one, welcome all to KCRG 9.2's broadcast of live high school soccer brought to you by Rainer Garage Door of Cedar Rapids. I'm KCRG's Mike O'Brien, joined by Landis, Wiley here at Mount Mercy College for the final day of the boys' regular season. On tap tonight, the Cedar Rapids Prairie Hawks, traveling just over 9 miles north to take on the Cedar Rapids Washington Warriors, who are acting as the home squad tonight here at the Robert W. Placer Complex. While their normal home site, Kingston Stadium, is under that 3-month, $2 million renovation. Both of these teams already know their fate when it comes to postseason play, which begins next week, but still a lot on the line tonight as Wash can clinch a share of the MPC title with a win. But before we get to that, we'll talk about the keys to the game coming up, where we're going to take a short break and come right back to you here for Game Time. You're watching live high school soccer on KCRG 9.2. Welcome back to live high school soccer on KCRG 9.2, just 2 minutes away from first kick between Prairie and Wash in the regular season finale. Mike O'Brien alongside Landis Wiley here. Landis, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Looking for some good soccer. Hopefully you stay dry.
Absolutely, and the good soccer is something it's almost a guarantee to see today with these two teams, both 10-5 records. Prairie, not necessarily a whole lot to play for outside of just trying to evade injuries with postseason play beginning next week. Wash has got a lot on the line. They still know their destiny in next week's playoff bracket, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But Xavier beat City High just over an hour ago, which means with a win tonight, Wash can clinch a share of the MVC Mississippi Division title. That's all you can ask for in the last game of the regular season to have something meaningful to play for. We should see them on top of their game tonight, don't you think?
Absolutely, and you know, the Mississippi Valley Conference is kind of like the Big Ten when it comes to, you know, college sports and football. It's a conference that's always competitive. Anybody can beat anybody any time of or any day, and you know, you put teams out there and they play for some pride on this. This is a matchup that there's a bit of a rivalry stretching back over the last decade or so, and you know, Washington obviously wants to try to pick that up, but they also want to try to notch a win here against a really high-powered offense in Prairie.
Wash has got a signature win this year with a 2-0 win over City High in their last game, by far their most impressive win of the season, and this one would be not just as impressive, but not close behind, because Cedar Rapids Prairie is ranked 9th in all of Class 3A. Leading into next week's playoffs, Wash is on a roll. They had a little skid there in the middle of the season, 4 straight losses, and since then they've reeled off 5 straight wins, outscoring all opponents 29-1. And talking to head coach J.P. Graham before the game, again, it's the meaningful game to play at the end of the season, but also at the end of the season, you just want to be playing your best game, and they seem to be doing that right now.
Absolutely, and especially the way the Iowa High School Athletic Association sets this up, where you're in sub-state, you pretty much know what you're going to play, so you've got the opportunity that if you have a little bit of a mid-season lull, as long as you're firing all cylinders going into those sub-state rounds, you can make a deep run into the playoffs and on to state, and maybe make a run at that elusive title that everybody's looking for.
It was a mid-season lull by definition when you lose 4 straight, but it wasn't like the competition wasn't extremely tough. Those 4 games, one was against Ankeny Centennial. They're ranked 5th in Class 3A. The other 3, Iowa City West, Waukee, Kennedy. Iowa City West was 2nd in all of 3A. Waukee's the top team in the entire state, and Kennedy's 9th, not so bad. And then the last loss of that 4-game losing streak was Xavier, who, by the way, is also #1 in Class 2A. So, okay, 4 straight losses, but you're losing to the cream of the crop teams in the rest of the state.
Exactly, and you know, coming out of that for Wash, certainly they're gonna look at that type of a situation, and they're going to try to learn things from it. And then as you close out the season in conference play, you know, that's some stiff competition, and that's where you're going to get sharp as a team, and you'll coalesce even if you don't pull out of those games with the W.
The Warriors have that signature win, like I mentioned, against City High. That was just this past Tuesday. And Prairie's kind of had a similar way of the road this entire season, an identical 10-5 record so far. Their top wins aren't necessarily as signature with the City High win. They have wins over Kennedy, who's ranked 9th in 3A, and Dubuque Wahlert, who's ranked 11th. But then those losses are in the same fashion that Wash had. They have losses to Xavier, West, City High, Valley. And the worst one may be Cedar Falls, who is receiving votes, although they're not ranked in the top 10. That was a 0-1 finish with a loss, but according to head coach Kurt Lewis, that 1 goal for the Tigers came on their only shot of the game. It was a dominant performance, but they just couldn't get anything in the net, and sometimes that happens.
Absolutely, and you know, in the game of soccer, it's a game of few goals, right? And in the case of Prairie, they're a high-scoring offense, every once in a while they'll go out and struggle to score. And, you know, they tend to not give up a lot of goals. And so for them, if they can just keep that offense on the field, keep possession of the ball, put some balls in the back of the net, they've got a good chance of winning.
It's only 12 goals allowed for Prairie on the season and 13 allowed for Washington. Both have over 45 scored this season, with the Warriors putting 46 in the net this year and the Prairie Hawks putting in 56. That's a 3.7 goals per game average. For the Prairie Hawks, when they win, they basically blow out their opponents, but they just don't have that signature win. Going through their wins, I see 10-1, 7-1, 6-0, 4-0, 7-0, 6-0, another 6-0. When they win, they're on fire. It's just getting those maybe 2 to 3 goals, because they're not really ever going to give up more than 2 or 3 goals in a game.
Exactly, and looking at the results throughout the season, you have to think that maybe Prairie is one of those teams that it's really important for them to be on the board first. If they're able to get on the board first, they gain some confidence, which allows them to go out and put more goals on the board. And, you know, some teams, if they're not able to get on the board early on, they let maybe a squeaker goal in early. It's a different game when you're playing from behind.
I'd be remiss not to mention our potential for weather today. I don't really have any wood around me to knock on. It's been a beautiful day. 95, I believe, was the high today. Bright and sunny, and then all of a sudden the last 15, 20 minutes, now we are overcast, cloudy, and we just hope that if we see weather, it's just a little bit of rain and not necessarily the worst stuff, which would then cause a delay. But there is the potential for that as we're looking at Prairie's starting lineup and now Wash's starting lineup. We won't go through all the names, but there are 2 that completely stand out. For Wash, it's Keaton Woods, and for Prairie, it's Mateus Lewis, and those are some of the best goal scorers in the entire state.
Absolutely, and it should be exciting to watch how that matchup plays out here. You know, certainly they're key playmakers for their respective side, but at the same time, they're also unselfish players. If you look at the stat line, not only do they score a lot of goals, they set up their teammates to score a lot of goals, and so that's going to be really interesting to see what role they play in tonight's match. How many points can they put on the board?
Well, it looks like the teams are lined up and the announcements have been made for the starting lineups, and it looks like we're getting ready to go through the national anthem here. And we will take a break once they start, which should be in a few moments.
Skills and talents of all participants and for the game officials. Prairie and Washington.
And once our public address announcer is finished with his announcements, they will go into the national anthem, so we will be quiet for the remaining few moments until the national anthem finishes, and then when it's over, come back and it's time for soccer.
Now, to honor America, please stand and join in the singing of our national anthem.
So proud we live at twilight's last gleam, whose broad and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the
An excellent rendition of our nation's national anthem, and just looking over the field, Kingston Stadium is a very nice facility. Obviously, they're going through quite a renovation right now, getting an 8th lane on the track, renewing the turf, and all that goes into a $2 million renovation. But I cannot get over how beautiful this facility here is at Mount Mercy. Only 2 years old, was opened up in 2017, but quite a facility for Washington to host their final 2 games of the season.
Absolutely, and you know, Kingston obviously is a gorgeous venue to play in. It's a old stadium, traditional stadium. The one challenge about it when it comes to sport of soccer is it's very narrow. There's not a lot of space. When you look at this particular field, this is kind of the modern way of constructing a track where you're trying to accommodate soccer. So you've got a much wider field here for them to play on, which should be good for two teams that like to go out and play some offense.
Teams are ready. We're ready. Prairie's going to start with it first, and that's Mateus Lewis at midfield. Waiting for referee Tyler Turner to give him the okay to begin the final game of the regular season. Both of these teams looking for win number 11 on the air, and we are underway. Mateus Lewis giving it back to Jace Berger to start, and Prairie will have the opening possession of the game. Ball's on the far side of the field. Through ball attempt there from Caleb Halloran will go for a goal kick. Keeper for the Washington Warriors today, Eric Lenzen. It's a senior with a save percentage of .745, 8 saves on the season. He has yet to allow a goal this season, although he's not their normal starter, rather. That would go to Will Bickle, who is out with a concussion today. But it doesn't look like Lenzen will be taking the kick. Instead, that's defender Grant Knutson, who piles it to about the 35-yard line, and Prairie takes it right back. Andrew Russell to the side. Out wide, Carter Renwick. That ball's intercepted. And with the ball now is Keaton Woods, who is a name we will probably say quite a lot tonight. He's only got 9 goals on the season. That's after scoring 26 last year. And as the game progresses, we'll get through the rest of his story. Those 9 goals, you see, okay, you scored 26 your junior year. Why only 9? Well, he missed 8 games with a knee injury. He's very much the caliber of player to score 25, 30 plus when fully healthy, which thankfully he is tonight and into the playoffs. Beautiful pass through. That's Anders Bergstrom with it in the corner. Crosses through. It's blocked by Jace Berger and cleared by the Hawk defense. Mateus Lewis flying one to midfield. On the far side, that's Mercy Girawineza battling. Two minutes in, team still organizing as here's Woods with it inside the 18. Left-footed strike blocked. Not by the goalie, but instead Jace Berger with the left foot. That's his strongest one. You don't necessarily see that very often when you're that close to the goal. You get your central defender blocking it instead of the keeper.
No, but that was just good awareness there on the defensive line to be in there and cover for your goalkeeper. That was kind of a little bit sloppy by Prairie's defense, giving that away, especially to a player like Woods. Maybe a little lucky to avoid it there, but great reaction by the defensive line. Shot
made by Grant Sullivan, not on net. That went wide. It will go for another goal kick for the Washington Warriors. We've mentioned Keaton Woods, 9 goals on the air. That is not the leader on the team, though. No, that title goes to Brooks Papendick, who has a team-high 13 goals along with 3 assists. And Coach J.P. Graham was very enthusiastic to compliment Papendick on his ability to take over when the team needed him in Woods' absence and put 13 goals on the board throughout the season. It's nice when you have that second solidified force there if your star goes down to not necessarily lose your quality.
Absolutely, especially at the high school level and a player of Woods' caliber. A lot of times what will happen is the team will get so reliant on that one player, and if they're out for an extended period of time, or even if they're out for a few minutes during a game because of maybe getting a little knock, it can really throw a team off. So it's good that Washington was able to step up, that Papendick in particular was able to step up in that absence and fill that space.
Ball strolls out of bounds, and the sideline official awards possession to Wash. Again, 4 minutes of the game. By my count, still only 1 shot on goal. That was from Woods. As now ball's being possessed in their own zone for Wash. Spread across to the far side as they'll look to advance up the field. Not really finding any passing lanes, at least upward, as that ball rolls out of bounds and they lose it. Great attack there from Prairie's front side of the field. Inbounded into Andrew Russell. Being fought for on the far side. Russell sends his opponent down. Wash player stands up, maybe looking for a foul, but official says got the ball first. Wash possession. Here's Woods immediately surrounded by 2 Prairie defenders. They're not going to give him a whole lot of space today. And Woods aggressively takes down Lewis. No foul call there. And now Wash on a run. Anders Bergstrom up ahead to Exuse Kaya. Kaya makes a move on the defender. He's strolling in close to the 18, about 20 yards away. Kaya over to Woods. Woods to Mercy. Girawineza, whose shot is just over the bar, hits the crossbar of the field goal post right behind the net. A nice counterattack there from Wash for their first legit chance that didn't come from Woods.
Absolutely great build-up and play there over the length of the field, and it's going to be interesting to watch tonight. You mentioned earlier on 95 degrees almost here at kickoff. You know, it wasn't a week ago. It was, what, 55 degrees and raining and cold. And so it's going to be interesting to see if that maybe takes a toll on some of these players. You know, both these teams are very attacking oriented. They're pretty fast with the ball. Is whether they can play a normal pace tonight and hold it out for the entire game. Obviously, runs like that, you know, they'll take it out of you pretty quick in this kind of heat.
It's Connor Rains lofting it over, trying to hit Andrew Russell. Wash defense doing a good job consoling the ball there, and now out running for Wash is Girawineza. Turning around, switching sides, finds Woods, who's able to settle it on his foot and then get tripped up by defender Caden McMaster, only a freshman. McMaster's got quite the job tonight, shadowing number 10, Keaton Woods. McMaster, nice header out to midfield. You can tell Wash, it's a smart play, but they're looking for Woods almost every possession.
Yeah, and Prairie's doing a good job of what they need to do with a player like that on the field, which is take away the passing lanes. Is if they can, the more they can keep Woods out of the game and keep him from being able to receive balls, not only can they avoid that wicked shot that he has, but again, he's so good at being able to set up his teammates that if they can just keep him out of the run of play, you really can go a long ways in neutralizing that Washington offense.
Oh, Woods an all-around player. 9 goals on the season, 6 assists. If you weren't sure about his story, he was not in school, at least here, for the first semester of this year. No, he was training at MLS Real Salt Lakes Training Academy out in Utah for the first semester, and then he elected to come back second semester because he wanted to play his senior year for the Wash Warriors. As look at that pass from Woods. Kaya can't strike it with the left foot, at least solidly, and that ball rolls out of bounds, but there exemplifies the passing ability that Woods has. A perfect pass to Kaya, who just couldn't get his foot on it.
Absolutely, and the technical ability of a player like Woods is incredible to watch, and it's fun to watch, but really a player of that caliber, and the thing that the young men and women who play in the academy programs or the MLS feeder programs have that a lot of players don't is their ability to see the field. They can see gaps. They can see things happening before they happen. And you saw that right there on that play as Woods was able to receive that ball. And really, without even turning and looking, he played it perfectly. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to connect on the end.
That's Mohamed Molimu looking for Kaya. Can't control it. Again, it will go out past the goal line. Prairie's ball. Woods did a nice article with the Cedar Rapids Gazette earlier this year when he decided to come back to Cedar Rapids Wash. It was authored by excellent reporter Douglas Miles. And he was explaining he made the decision because this team has been talented enough to make runs at state, but in the past 2 years they've been stopped in the sub-state semifinals. So just a little bit of unfinished business for this Wash team, who is not foreign to winning division titles in their conference, which they have the opportunity to do tonight, but it's what can they do after that? And they feel they can make a run this year, and they certainly have the talent to do it.
Absolutely, and that's fun to see, because obviously a player like that who is, you know, clearly playing at a different level has all the opportunity in the world, you know, to have a drive and a connection to the local high school environment and want to come back and participate in that and be a part of maybe what potentially could be something really special. That's really neat to see.
If you're wondering, we're spending so much time talking about him, so he must have a future in soccer, and that he does. He's uncommitted to play anywhere at the D1 collegiate level. That's because he's going to Spain to try and play professionally. And look at the speed showcase there. Keaton Woods, goal number 10 on the season. There's a reason we've been talking about him so much. That's Exhibit A right there.
Absolutely, and so often on a play like that, you'll see that attacker maybe try to take an extra touch or two, really go in and work around the goalkeeper. And again, that's just that vision.
Incredible speed and a nice finish right to the center of the net. It looks like, yes, he did beat defender. That's Caden McMaster, the freshman, who, like we said, he's got a task tonight to try and keep tabs on number 10. And as the score stands, we still have 70 minutes to play, but if it finishes as it does now, the Wash Warriors will clinch a share of the Mississippi Valley Conference Mississippi Division title. Jace Berger throwing it far side. That ball's out of bounds. Possession awarded to Wash. But as I was cut off to announce Keaton Woods' goal, we were just talking about how he's electing to go to Spain next year to at least attempt to play some level of professional soccer. And, you know, USA Soccer is not what people may hope it would be. For young players who want to develop, going overseas is by far their best opportunity. At least that's a popular opinion by some.
Right.
There are some who would like to see them stay, play collegiately, domestically. I think it's common knowledge that the best training is overseas.
Absolutely, and you know, there's obviously been a raging debate for decades in the United States as to, you know, how to best build our development programs. You know, it's probably been 15 years ago that the United States Soccer Federation started their Development Academy program with the idea of being able to build the youth programs. And you know, I think looking at what happened here with the most recent World Cup and the United States not qualifying, I think
Lack
it's obviously
of a World Cup.
Lack of a World
Yeah.
Cup. It's obviously open for debate in regard to the success of that program. You know, you would like to think that a country with what 300 and some odd million people, that we should be able to churn out players to at least go up and compete with, frankly, countries that are no more populated than some of our states.
You know, there are many factors that go into it. I have to think one, if not the most important one, is the experience that the coaches have. And those are the vast majority in foreign countries, whether it be South America, in Europe, maybe not Asia so much, but they still have experience there. And that will come with time. Hopefully the next World Cup we see some red, white, and blue action.
Absolutely.
But those are high goals set for Woods, who says it's his dream to play on Team USA in a World Cup. It's an awfully competitive and ambitious thing, but to be able to do it, you have to dream it first. And he's at least gotten that far. 1 goal tonight. It's a 1-0 lead for Wash. On the far side, Joe Jonathan. That ball can't connect, out of bounds, and it will be Prairie. Prairie's got a handful of people who are electing to play at the next level as well. Mateus Lewis, their leading goal scorer. He's going to play at University, Missouri of, I'm sorry, yes, UMKC. I don't know how to say that all in a row. The University, Missouri of Kansas City. I think that's right. The Kangaroos, I believe.
I think that's about right. That's a great opportunity. It's been a long-standing. That's a good program, good academic program too. My understanding is he's probably looking to study business down there, and they have a wonderful business school. But you know, that's a great conference. UMKC. You know, I refereed them a number of times over the years, and they play a good brand of soccer.
Excellent save there. There was a shot attempt by Andrew Russell. He's got 13 goals, but Wash keeper Eric Lenzen just getting a deflection on that as the ball sails wide to the left of the net. Russell had a great look, gotten back of the defense. Looked like he had to do maybe a one-touch strike attempt there. It was an excellent save by Eric Lenzen, the senior from Wash. Now a corner coming up to the right of the net. Russell in a position to take it. It looks like as well McMaster to the left side. It will be Russell trying to curve it in. Easily knocked out by defender Anders Bergstrom. Prairie trying their best to keep possession. Not seeing a whole lot of separation, though. These Wash defenders and even midfielders are right there. It's a hard takedown by Exuse Kaya. Foul called on Kaya, and McMaster was on the other end of that takedown. And this will be Jace Berger. Berger going to play at the next level as well. He will go to Hawkeye Community College up in Waterloo next season. Showcasing that strong left foot like he did there. Trying to get a nice ball up high for a potential header, but instead it was just a little too high, sailed out of bounds. It'll go back to Wash. 15 minutes in. It's a 1-0 game. Wash with the lead. Again, the final game of the regular season. Wash on a 5-game win streak coming into this one. Prairie on a 1-game win streak. Their last game this past Saturday, they handled North Scott 6-0. But before that, fell 1-0 to Cedar Falls, as we mentioned earlier. That one goal coming on the Tigers' only shot of the game. It's been kind of the kryptonite for the Hawks this year in their losses. They have played phenomenally well in regards to just getting shots on goal, but getting shots in the goal is a whole nother thing that they seem to be struggling with on a consistent basis. Charging out, Lenzen, the keeper, for the save. It's Connor Raines bringing it to midfield. He's a former KCRG Athlete of the Week last year, and here comes Woods. Nice crossover to the right side now. Woods again looking for the foul, but no, he won't get it that time, and I have to agree with that call from official Tyler Turner. There's a great run to inside the box, and then he kind of just got too much separation with the ball, and if you're a player, you have to try it. What's the harm in trying, right?
You have to try. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to wave
at you. If he gives it to you, it's almost a free goal, and if not, you get up and try again. This is an excellent run into the box, though. Prairie with it the other way, near the 20-yard line. There's Lewis. Great pass. Ball is deflected by the Wash defense. Jace Berger solidifying that back line for the Hawks. Jace Berger solidifying that back line for the Hawks. Again, who've only allowed 12 goals coming into this game, now 13 goals after Woods' first just about 10 minutes ago. A great pass by Woods again. We've seen him do it before. This time, can they connect? A great save by the Prairie keeper. That's Eric Wisniewski. Shot attempt by Mercy Girum Waneza. Both teams have had some chances here in the first half. Wash with the better opportunities, getting these free shots inside the box.
Yep, and Washington is seeing something they like. If you notice, they're really trying to pick on, I guess, that right side, left side, as we're looking at it, of the Prairie defense. There's been a number of runs down there, and so I'm sure that's something that Coach Lewis is paying attention to, and maybe it'll be a topic of conversation at halftime.
Most organized sports are. Soccer, perhaps the most keen to seeing adjustments throughout the game. They don't have quarter breaks. They just get one break throughout the game, so these players have to be aware on what adjustments they need to make very much on the fly, as Wash has it again inside the box. Turning around with it was number 2, and now they're on the far side of the box. I believe that's number 9, Brooks Papendick. The first time we've said his name with possession today, playing on that far side of the field. Excellent possession, and there's goal number 2 for the Washington Warriors, doubling up their lead 18 minutes into the game. They just had all sorts of possession, and if you leave them with possession for long enough inside the 18, eventually they're going to score. Brooks Papendick, that's number 14 on the season.
Yeah, and great ball movement there by Washington. You know, I don't know if maybe it's the heat a little bit or what, but, you know, there's some Prairie players out there right now, kind of hands on their hips, hands on their knees, looking a little gassed, and, you know, Washington did a great job of just moving the ball around and eventually found a player that had an open shot, and here we are 2-0.
Again, Prairie playing in this game with the main intent, it's always to win, but I think more importantly, they need to get out healthy. the playoffs, they already have their first round bye. They don't know their first opponent yet because that will be played next week. But they can't gain anything outside of maybe just bragging rights for today. Wash playing with a lot more effort, it seems, and that's not a knock against Prairie. That's just reality that they have something to play for. An incredible pass, and outrunning is Exuse Kaya. How about Jace Berger? Looked like a clean takedown to me, and the official agrees. Got the ball first. Incredible recovery from Berger to help prevent another A-plus opportunity for the Warriors. When you look at that top line for Wash, between Woods, Kaya, Girawaneza, it's speed. And that's what it seems to be. Woods doesn't necessarily look like the fastest guy, and then you see him when he hits top speed, and there might not be another player in the state that can match that top speed.
Absolutely, and you've seen that already today, and you're exactly right. And for Washington, they're doing a great job then of finding space and letting those forwards go run. You know, it's one thing to have speed, but if you're not developing play in your midfield and finding space for those guys to get open and go on some long runs, it doesn't do a whole lot. And Washington's doing a great job so far today.
Doing a great job defensively as Mateus Lewis. That will stop the clock, and it looks like official Tyler Turner will be handing Mateus Lewis a yellow card. So Lewis, that's his first of the game as he's headed out for a substitution, as he will have to take time off. 20 minutes left in the half.
Yeah, pretty easy yellow card there for Tyler to give, especially, you know, like you mentioned, you've got, this is always a tough game from a referee perspective, right? It's the end of the season. You have one team that really does have something to play for. You have another team that, as you mentioned, is just trying to get out of here without any injuries or any knocks that impact you going into sub-state. And the last thing you want to have happen is have a game escalate out of control over something kind of screwy. And so, you know, a foul like that in the midfield relatively early on in the game, easy as a referee to just kind of draw the line and say, we're not going to play that way today, guys.
Substituting in for Lewis, that's Jared Vizzini, number 2. He has 1 goal on the year, and he looks to be taking over that forward position. Prairie trying to do something with it. Wash emphatically shutting the door on any kind of offensive attempt by the Hawks. Battling forward on the close side. No stoppage called. Connor Raines with it now, up ahead. That ball will go out of bounds. Wash possession. We have 3 subs coming in. Trying to do our best with who's coming in, who's coming off. Looks like Kaya, Girawaneza, and Mohamed Molimu are all coming off. Again, Wash now comfortably up by 2 goals. They've only allowed 13 all year, so while there are still 60 minutes of game time left, they're comfortable making these early subs with some of their top players, given that they already have that 2-goal lead. With the throw-in, Anders Bergstrom gets the ball right back, immediately pressured by the Prairie defense. Bergstrom finding Woods, and let's see what Woods can do with it. Ball nicely deflected out by Alex White, sophomore defender for the Hawks. And Wash on the attack again. Very nice move far. I believe that's Brooks. It's a nice move to earn a corner kick on the far side. That's left of the keeper. And Papendick will take the kick from the corner as he's awaiting his teammates to fill in the box. Papendick with it. Ball curving left. Great header attempt. That's by Rami Sheets, an excellent tennis player, going to UConn at the next level. You don't really have to use your head in tennis outside the mental aspect of it, but that was a nice header there. Berger piles it deep, 55 yards down the field. Prairie keeper didn't really have another choice outside of kicking that ball out of bounds as Keaton Woods will take the throw. And up ahead for playing forward now is Gasango Senguyamva for the Wash Warriors. He was one of those 3 substitutes that we saw into the game just a few moments ago. And now potentially an attack coming here for Prairie. That's Alex White, the sophomore. And an unsuccessful cleared attempt, but a great save again by Eric Lenzen. Didn't quite see who got the shot attempt there. I know Alex White had a great pass to the middle that was then kind of loosely deflected to whoever ended up taking that shot right on net, but Lenzen with another impressive save to keep it scoreless. Ball hits midfield. That's McMaster. And that ball stolen away from Keaton Woods. Has one to beat, but Berger stays tough, but he's got to recover again. Berger doesn't often let offensive opponents past him, and he wasn't going to allow Woods to do it there. And Woods had nothing but green turf in front of him if he was able to do that. Could have easily made it a 3-goal game. 25 minutes in, it's still 2-0.
And if you're Prairie here, you're in a dangerous spot because soccer is kind of a game. Yes, it's 2 halves, but really each half you could break up into 3 periods. A lot of times in that first 10 or 15 minutes, both teams come out, they're amped up, they're fired up. There's a lot of adrenaline. You typically see a lot of speed, good goal scoring opportunities. The middle of that first half can kind of bog down a little bit. You know, maybe players are a little winded, the adrenaline's worn off, and it's easy to get lulled almost to sleep at times. And if you're Prairie here, where, as you've mentioned, they don't really have a lot to play for today other than, you know, I want to beat Washington. So it's a dangerous time for them. You kind of just want to get through this phase of the game, and then usually the last 10 minutes of that first half, things will generally pick up again. You'll get a little more intensity. You want to try to hold on or maybe pick up a goal before halftime. So we'll see how they respond here the next maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, and as a coach for Coach Kurt Lewis of the Prairie Hawks, it's not necessarily about winning this game. It's not the biggest deal in the world, as we keep mentioning. But you definitely don't want to fall into bad habits.
Absolutely.
And one game can certainly do that to a team. And their next game is a whole lot more important than this one, and they need to evade that happening.
Yep, absolutely. And it's bad habits. It's also a tendency that, yeah, maybe you don't get too worked up if you don't pull out the W today. But at the same time, you don't want to overdo it and walk out of here in a situation where your team is losing confidence either. And so it's a tough position as a coach to try to keep your players motivated at this point in the season, and because again, you don't want them to get into some kind of habit that then you have to try to unwind over, you know, they have a little bit of time off here before that next game. So you want them to play sharp. You want them going through the motions, making the right decisions, even if you don't get the result today.
We had another substitution. Anders Bergstrom takes a seat for Wash as Mercy Gira-Wineza comes back onto the pitch. Here's Gira-Wineza with it now, trying to find Woods on the through ball. Phenomenal pass, and Woods just has Berger to beat once more. Woods with the right foot, switches over to the left. Left-footed strike just sails over the net. He knew he had a great opportunity there. Very fantastic defense from Berger, yet again just staying in front of that ball.
Yeah, a little unlucky there for Woods, and maybe a little fortunate for Prairie. That ball took a little bit of a funny bounce off of the turf, and Woods had to hold up, which sort of allowed Berger and the rest of the back line to recover back there.
Gira-Wineza loses it on the close side of your screen there after settling it with his body, and Connor Raines will take the throw-in. Still electing what to do with it, decides to go far side of the pitch, and we'll redo it again about 10 yards down the field. Rain's one of those guys very similar to a lot of defenders in the state. When you look at the stat sheet, so I'm trying to look for his name again, it basically just reads 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, but that often does not tell the full story when it comes to defenders, especially when they're just sole defenders. You have a couple around the state who might take some shots on goal from the midfield, 25, 30 yards out. But Rains is one of those ones, very solid, that if you look at the stat sheet, that far from tells the whole story of how valuable he is to that defensive line. Foul called there on Gisango Senguyamva. It'll be Prairie's ball. They find Rains on the far side. Rains loses that. Gary Wineza was pressuring. Now it's Alex White trying to cross it, but again, Gary Wineza stopping that attack. Up ahead, Senguyamva to Woods. Woods with a pass to the middle of the field. Intercepted by the Hawk defense, and it's back to Rains. Rains trying to go through. Beautiful header there from defender Rami Sheets. Gary Wineza with Rains on his back. Did not connect to that ball as he would have liked. It sails wide, but still kept in bounds by the Warriors. Again, we've seen this from Wash throughout the night, where a lot of these passes are from 20 yards, if not more so, down the field. We saw the one in the box that was a lot of crisp, short passes, but the only reason they got it into the box was due to a long pass from about midfield.
Yeah, Washington is really doing a great job of moving the ball around, finding space like we talked about earlier. And, especially when it's a hot night like tonight, you want the ball to do the work. And so, Prairie seems to be a little more intent on get the ball to feet and have guys run with it, which works. But, again, in the heat, you're going to run out of energy at some point. And Washington's doing a nice job leveraging that speed. Just find the space, let the ball go, get the guys on it, and go play.
Gary Wineza and Wash lose possession as Prairie charging back the other way. Under 10 minutes to play left in the first half. Here with Wash holding on to a 2-goal lead. Again, Senguyamva trying to look for Kaya, far side, unsuccessful. Now Exuse Kaya surrenders possession to Prairie as Prairie keeper Eric Wisniewski hurls that one out of bounds on the far side of your screen. And it will stay with Wash, who has plenty of time to try and add a third. The sun may be down, but the temperature hasn't gone down quite at all. It seems like, at least here in the booth. I can't imagine running around for a couple hours, but the humidity is something that
absolutely
is not fun for soccer players to have to go through.
And this time of year, that's tough. Your body adapts to it. We're from Iowa. You get heat and humidity. But when you go from consistent 50 and 60 degree weather all season and then you walk into something like this, it's absolutely taxing on you. And it sort of does take your breath away as a player the first time you have to deal with it.
The junior, Exuse Kaya, trying to find Senguyamva. Jace Berger, he's not known for his offensive ability, but the central defender basically running 50 yards and attempting the left-footed shot that sails wide.
And good for him. Jokingly, he didn't do anything to dispel that he's not known for his offense there.
Not many players have to take a shot after running 40, 50 yards. Sometimes that one, if not that second touch, maybe 5, 10 yards at most. But it's a nice attempt. Jace Berger with 3 goals on the season, 2 assists. Prairie defense doing a decent job organizing, getting that ball out of their danger zone, and they're on the attack. That shot deflected, should go for a corner, the left side of Wash keeper Eric Lenzen. Looked like Carter Renwick was up there. Piling into the box, closest to the keeper in the white jersey is Alex White. And lined up to take the corner is Andrew Russell, as well as Jared Vizzini. Russell elects to take it. Great defensive header to get it out by Grant Knutson, the tall senior, as that will be offsides. Russell didn't move a whole lot of his position from when he took the corner. So when they tried to advance it again, he was well offsides back line. 6 minutes to go in the first half. Looked like perhaps Prairie's best chance to score a goal was right there off that corner, as it went just over the fingertips of Eric Lenzen, the Wash keeper, but then Knutson able to header it out. Knutson pile drives it deep all the way to the 23-yard line, met by Berger. Rains again settling. Up ahead to midfield. That ball will go out of bounds. Possession awarded to Wash. Have a substitution coming in for Wash. Gisango Sengiamva trotting off the field, while it looks like Brooks Pappendick, one of tonight's goal scorers, comes back to take his position as one of the main forwards for Wash. Prairie trying to find some kind of space in this Wash defense, have yet to successfully get their A-plus chance yet today. Aggressively battling for it on the far side, that's Andrew Russell. He's headed to Co-College to play Division III soccer next season. And again, hustling to keep it inbounds. Looked like Alex White. Ball on the far side. Russell has 13 goals. That'll be a foul call on Prairie. Ball will switch to the opposite possession for Wash with 4.5 to play.
And Prairie's just struggling here to really kind of get anything going in this game. I don't think they've maybe put more than 2 or 3 passes together here in the first half.
Doesn't help when your best player is not on the pitch right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're gaining possession, taking the ball away from Wash on the offensive side. It's kind of just a kickball game a little bit up towards the front. There's just not. It doesn't seem like it's very crisp right now, and I can imagine that Coach Lewis is going to have that conversation at halftime and say, guys, you gotta step it up here. You gotta play sharp, play your game.
Aggressively with the takedown is Rains. Wash will continue to have possession with 3.5 minutes left in the first half. And they'll take the free kick from about 40 yards out from net. Taking it, that's Anders Bergstrom, who's back into the game. Berger clears it out with the head. It's met by Girawineza. Back to Prairie. Rains just trying to progress it down the field, successfully finds Andrew Russell. And now there's Berger playing up ahead from his normal position, switches over to the right side. Nice move from Berger. A great pass there. Potentially a chance, but it's evaded away once more by the Washington defense. Far side, that's Alex White, onside. Cross into the middle. Again, the Wash defense ready for it as it's cleared by Knutson. 2.5 left to play in the first half. And when Prairie's basically biggest problem this season is inconsistencies scoring, whether they win or not, you know Coach Lewis is going to want to see at least 1 or 2 scored today.
Yep, you're not going to win many games if you can't score goals. It's pretty much that simple. And so even though, as we've said several times, even though this game doesn't necessarily mean a lot, if you're Coach Lewis, you want to see your players out there and you want to see them get some goals because it's going to build their confidence, because the next game does count.
It's Caleb Halloran putting it ahead. Great passing here for Russell. That ball sails wide. Wash will settle for a goal kick. Again, we've had some of these opportunities from Prairie, but not very many, except for those 2 that have actually been on goal in regards to shots, as 2 subs coming off for Wash. Going off the field, Ethan Stout and Joe Jonasson. There's Pappendick settling, immediately met by a defender. Throws it up ahead to Corey Nobles. Nobles to Gira Waneza. Immediately met by Jace Berger, again showing supreme defensive ability. As Berger electing to keep it, so Wash takes it right back. Gary Waneza keeping his balance. Gary Waneza switches sides, left-footed strike, gathered in by Wisniewski. Nice attempt there to make it a 3-goal lead, but with 30 seconds left, it looks like we shall keep a 2-goal lead for Wash, as we'll hit the break unless they were able to come up with something here in the next 20 seconds. Ten seconds remaining, the ball goes off the field, so it is safe to say that we have reached halftime as the players gingerly walk off the field. It is a 2-0 lead for the Washington Warriors, and as it stands right now, they would clinch a share of the MVC Mississippi Division title. We'll see if they're able to keep it in the second half. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll go over the first half highlights of Wash's 2-0 lead over Prairie. You're watching KCRG 9.2's broadcast of live high school soccer.